This is the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game.
Rule number one is you have to believe in yourself. You're the only one who doesn't think you belong in this appointment. The prospect has already validated your existence by scheduling time with you. Get it through your head you belong here, go in there, crush it, and close the deal.
A place where sales professionals can come to learn from other sales professionals and thought leaders that have mastered their craft.
The difference between a good salesperson and a best-in-class salesperson is only 2 minutes. By spending an extra 2 minutes on what you might think is a mundane task in the sales game, you separate yourselves from the pack, you grow your book of business, you close more deals, and you retain your accounts.
As well as their peers who are still striving for perfection to achieve their why.
I have a wife and 4 kids. Failure is not an option.
Real sales professionals, real stories, real results.
It's no different than being a professional baseball player. You can't be a one-trick pony. You have to be a 5-tool player in order to succeed in this game.
This is the Power Producers Podcast, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. Today we have Mr. Troy Thompson from Minnesota. What's going on, brother?
You're going on, David. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, man?
I'm trying, dude. You got the glasses. I mean,
are you going duck hunting? Like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, like, are you like going to sight in a rifle? Or
seriously, man, this is blue light blockers. You need them in front
Is
of
that
your
what-
computer all day.
Oh, is that what those are?
Is that
My wife
really?
has some, but they just look like regular glasses.
Yeah, there he went.
Kyle,
Well,
they block the rays, the blue rays.
My kids have them. I didn't even realize. I came home one day and my little girl was like sitting in the chair wearing a pair of glasses, and my wife said, "Yeah, I got them so that she doesn't end up with issues from staring at her tablet all day." I said, "Well, there's another way to fix that. Don't let her stare at her tablet all day."
Oh, amen. That's a problem. But what do you do? Kids are forced to be in front of the screens all day now.
Well, to a certain degree, thankfully, we're still in school down here, so we don't have to deal with it as much as the people that are doing the remote learning. But I do love the awesome stories from my sister-in-law who talked about how she's caught her boys shopping on Amazon instead of being in class when they're doing the remote learning. So,
hell yeah.
Just don't hit buy.
yeah, it took me 8 years to get through college in normal circumstances. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I had to do that remotely.
Wouldn't even be close.
So listen, man, we always try and get everybody's backstory when we have them on. Why don't you talk a little bit about who you are, where you came from, how you got here, and what you're doing now, and then we'll figure out how we're going to do the rest of this thing based on that.
Well, first of all, I have to say I feel very inadequate being on this, but I'm going to do my best to make it interesting at least. The reason I'm here right now is I got fired. Basically, I was a door-to-door salesman for much of my life. I sold cable, actually, David. So
There you go.
Door-to-door?
yeah, door-to-door, just like you did with the dish. But
Yeah, man.
long story short, I got fired. I always knew my dad had this business. He'd just gotten independent. So I always thought, man, what an opportunity to go to almost every door and sell someone something they have to have. So here I am. How's that for backstory?
Did you go door-to-door selling insurance?
I did. I actually still do. And
Really?
actually, yeah, I do really well at it.
Oh, I got to hear this, man. Talk to us. What's it look like? Kyle, he just knocked on your door, Kyle. I want you to be the person he's selling right now.
Well, you better not have knocked on my
This is
door
how I
because
do it.
I have a sign on my door that says "Don't knock. The baby's asleep and the dogs will bark." And it never fails. At least once a day, somebody knocks on the freaking door, and I'm like,
Exactly why I have you doing this.
"Oh my
You gotta give
god!"
him
Like, dude, can you not read? I know you can
Give him
read
credit.
because you have a job. Like, give me a break.
My dream is once I get my dream house, I'm going to have a sign that says soliciting instead of no soliciting.
There you go. That's
But
awesome. Good.
I got started. I basically started. I got licensed in 1 week. The next week, January 1st, I started knocking on doors. That was about 11 years ago. I didn't know anything about insurance, but I would get a lead, give one to my dad. He'd put one in his name. The next lead he got, he'd put in my name. We just go back and forth, and eventually I learned how to sell insurance. But Going door to door is super easy. I mean, I only do personal lines, and I would like to talk to you about the commercial side because I think that could be intriguing. But if I'm selling to Kyle, knock, knock, knock.
What's up, man?
Hey.
You can't read the sign.
What's up, man? What's up, man?
Get off
Can't
my
fucking
door.
read.
Sorry, man. I'll keep this really quick. I'm Troy. I'm with Pinnacle Insurance right around the corner. I bet I can save you some money on your home insurance.
Oh, yeah? How are you going to do that?
Yeah. Well, basically, I'll give you a call in a day or so. We'll go over the numbers. I'm independent, so I can save most people money. What's your phone number?
It's whatever.
Name, phone number. Who are you with? Jot it all down. I have it in a little notepad in my front pocket. Then I just go to the next door. Say, great, I'll call you tomorrow around this time. Fair enough?
All right.
Good talking to you, Kyle. Have a good day.
All right, cool. So easy. They don't really have any reason not to let you do that for them, right? You represented you could save them money. All you asked for was limited information.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Kyle, I'm like, how's this clown going to quote me? He didn't ask me about my house or anything or any of that. And I'm being devil's advocate. Obviously, I understand that you have the ability to get that information and do that stuff. But, I think it's interesting that that's the approach you take, man. I did not know that about you.
Yeah. If Kyle's willing to give me all his information, I'll take down more information. Mm-hmm. However, most people, I'm kind of blindsiding them. So I keep it pretty brief, keep it pretty positive, upbeat. I don't just scare them, asking them to social or anything like that.
Right. What's the, I could imagine that not going so well. What's the biggest objection you get? Most common one?
I already have insurance.
Right. Yeah. No shit. We would hope so.
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Oh, okay, great. You're doing great. Anyway, who are you currently insured with? You don't even hear some of the objections. You just keep going.
Mm-hmm. No, it's like me, man, when I ask people all the time, do you have a return to work program? And they say yes. And then I just steamroll like I'd never heard them say it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Just immediately go down that road. But I mean, I would be interested, and obviously you may or may not track it, but in terms of success rates, like, are you 50-50? I mean, how many people don't give you their phone number and how you call back?
In an hour, I'll get 4 leads roughly, and out of those, I'll quote 2 and sell 1. Those are the numbers. So it's probably 50-50 on those I talk to that'll be willing to give me their information, their phone number, email, and
Yeah, but that breaks down to 1 an hour, man. That's 40 new accounts a week if you're clocking those kind of numbers on a consistent basis. So,
you think I would be doing it more, right?
Well, I wouldn't be doing it in the current environment with the weather and everything, but why aren't
Speaking of the current environment, people complained and said you couldn't do it because of COVID. That was not a problem at all. This summer I had some of my best days. People were kind of starving for a little personal connection. So not one person gave me any objection because of COVID when I was out this summer.
Yeah, no, I think that's valid. We found that too. It's tough. I think that in our environment, it just led people to be more susceptible to take your phone call because they were looking for somebody to talk to.
Yeah. Whether it be door to door or a phone call. I mean, phone call is a magic weapon too, isn't it? Picking up the phone and talking to someone. Nobody does that anymore.
So that's what I was going to ask too. Do you supplement this door to door stuff with any other, ways of getting in front of them? Are you following up with phone calls or emails?
Emails, phone calls, texting. Oh,
okay.
Letters in the mail. I send everybody a thank you letter, a physical letter after I meet them. So we do acuity scheduling now too, so they get a little scheduling reminder for the follow-up appointment, which we try to do a day later. So absolutely, you blend the technology with it, of course.
So let me ask you this: you're leading with home, right? I'm assuming if you're knocking on the door, but I mean, when you go in and bring these accounts on, how much? Because number one, in Florida, we don't have package business. There's no bundling in Florida. It doesn't exist. Like the only people you can bundle with are the nationals, like Nationwide, Safeco. If they're like, I don't even know if Safeco. I shouldn't even have said that because I'm going to get a bunch of emails from people telling me I'm not that I'm talking about. Nationwide's a good example. If you're far enough inland that they have capacity, you could place home and auto with them, but their rates don't ever seem to be consistent one way or the other regarding that. But outside of that, man, Progressive with ASI is really the only real option that we see. And you can't even get the home appointment with Progressive until you've hit a certain amount with them on the auto side. And, I realize that a lot of people, probably 90% of the people listening to this are like, oh, well, how hard is it to get a Progressive appointment? Really freaking hard in Florida.
Really?
Three-year moratorium. There's a moratorium on new appointments, and you have to be in business for 3 years before they'll even consider it. So, yeah, we just got Progressive like last year.
Right.
And we're hoping to try and get to where we can have enough business with them to be able to place, to be able to get that home contract and hopefully be able to save. But, I mean, we can't even do umbrella with that because it's part of the home product. So I'm interested in when
I
you
like
go.
Progressive.
Yeah, when you're going door to door, I mean, I imagine your lines per account are pretty reasonable too.
Oh yeah, we bundle everything in Minnesota. It's pretty rare where people aren't bundling. Must be a Florida thing. Other parts of the country don't do the bundle, but we absolutely.
Nobody wants to write homes in Florida because it's in Florida, right? So we have literally like 15 carriers that are all the same, in my opinion, for all practical purposes in homeowners. It seems like every single one of them is the same. They're Demotech, A-rated. All of them have some sort of a, endorsement that gives you a little bit more coverage or whatever else. But I mean, if you were to do like a blind taste test of them, it would be every single one of them is almost identical, which is crazy. So, one of the people that I talk to a lot about personal lines or refer to a lot is Jason Kilgo, and the fact that Kilgo leads with umbrella, right?
Oh, that's brilliant.
You can't do that. Can't do that here because we don't have the ability to package everything together. But I mean, if you think about it, it is brilliant because then you can quote the home and the auto and make sure you have good limits and everything else too. So that's a wedge that he has that not a lot of other people have, and he's very, very good at doing it. What kind of systems are you running inside the agency?
Systems. Well, we use EasyLinks for a management system. We're just transitioning over to Agency Zoom. Right before this call, I had my sales team on with Agency Zoom, so hopefully that works out. We were on Active Campaign before, not utilizing it as much, and I think Agency Zoom will be pretty awesome. We do technology like slide broadcast, acuity scheduling, try to set appointments with everyone. That's been a game changer. We utilize Matt and Zach with GNN with the Babylon thing, and still utilize that and do our weekly meetings with the traction model. So, yeah.
Are you doing anything with? I know that with Matt and Zach, they were heavy with loan officer referrals and all of that. Are you going down that road too?
Trust me. You know what I'm good at? I'm really good at meeting people, whether that be door to door or the mortgage loan officers, whatever. But I'm just not good at the consistent follow up and just nurturing. I'm not a good nurturer. So I have 20, 30 pretty good mortgage brokers that I'm friends with, but I just don't follow up like I should. But that is one of my 2020 goals for sure, is to implement systems to constantly stay in touch with these people, to thank them when they give me the referrals, to touch them, email, text, whatever, just stay in front of them, phone calls. Maybe you guys can give me some insight on how to do that.
We don't do it, man. HubSpot does all of it for us.
I was about to say automation, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with you moving to Agency Zoom, that'll probably help you considerably. I mean, I don't know anything at all about Agency Zoom or Active Campaign. I just know that people use it. And I don't necessarily know that one more than the other. But is Active Campaign just a bad user interface? It's tough to get it into a habit, or is it more just Troy's not good at that? Because look, if I didn't have those systems, I would be in the same boat.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you invest $100,000 into your HubSpot?
150.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah,
it replaced 4 bodies though. So
exactly.
I could have spent that on people, or I could have spent it there. And obviously I value people, but at the same time, if I don't have the systems in place that we need to have in place, I'm wasting their time and not maximizing their productivity and their earnings potential. So my future employees will thank me for making that investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Corey Schnabel, your one of your prior guests, good friends with that guy. I love him, but he uses Agency Zoom. He told me about it. So I've been kind of playing with the idea of integrating it and implementing it. But yeah, I like it's all designed for insurance, which I like. Active Campaign is just for anybody. So there's a lot of pre-built templates and stuff. And even where Dave Ramsey endorsed local providers, they already have all that stuff built out. So,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, that is good. And you're familiar with Dave, right?
I'm familiar with Dave. I've taught financial peace for 15 years.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's been a game changer for us too. I mean, I've had the endorsement for about a decade now, and that's been a fun relationship. However, I do spend a lot of money to be in that relationship with Dave.
Well, talk a little bit about that, because that seems to be a very polar thing. And I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot and asking you to say anything that would get you in trouble, but I mean, why do you feel like if you've been with him for a decade, you're not giving Dave free money? Like, you're getting a return on that investment. Right. Why are you successful with it, whereas other people wouldn't be?
It's just the ROI. I mean, the beautiful thing about the Dave Ramsey lead is that these people know and trust Dave Ramsey. We're the closest thing they have to Dave Ramsey. So when we call them, that barrier's down. They're going to listen to what we say. There's all kinds of opportunities to round out to, like, even term life insurance. Say something like, hey, Dave says you need 10 times your income in life insurance. You ready to get that started? Yeah. Okay, let's get it going then. So they trust.
You feel that it helped you, the fact that, so I guess let me dial this back, because this is actually a pretty cool rabbit hole to go down, something we've not talked about before. And I know that he does this on the commercial side too. But when you apply, I guess, to be an endorsed local provider for him, and they say, yeah, we've checked you out, we're willing to attach our name to you, what kind of onboarding do you get?
Well, it's probably changed quite a bit over the years, because it was about 10 years ago that I got the endorsement. So it was a couple hour phone call initially. I think it was 2 or 3 phone calls just to vet me out more than anything. And I didn't know much about insurance even at the time. So I don't know if they necessarily vetted me out too much, but they trusted me. I answered the questions correctly. The onboarding, they really have gotten better with teaching the new ELPs, the process, and how you should connect and say things like, hey, Dave was checking in on you, wanted to make sure you're taken care of, certain, key phrases, how you doing on your baby steps, just basic stuff like that.
That's where I was going with it, because to say something like Dave recommends you have, whatever multiple of your annual salary in term life insurance or whatever, that's got to be powerful at the point of sale, especially if that person was led to you by
Dave. No doubt. And you just kind of flow right into it, and you assume it. Now let's get your term life set up. Okay. Yeah,
that's a good strategy. I just think it's, again, man, it goes back to everything else. There's so many average people who do what we do that they don't look and see when they have the ability to have a leg up. That's a huge leg up. But the way that the average agent looks at that is, man, those leads are expensive, right? That's what they're going to say. It doesn't matter if it's Dave Ramsey or any other lead generation service. That's the number one complaint, is they're paying for leads. Okay, well, there's a reason why you're paying for those leads. What are you doing with them when you get them? And if you're not closing enough business, how can you get better at it? I mean, that's there's go read one of Ramsey's books, for crying out loud. It's got its own language associated with it.
Dude, but I think we need to have those people in the industry so that we're able to just keep crushing them. Because, like,
speaking of average people, Kyle, I feel I'm average. I really do. I listen to people like you that are, have brilliant guests on that are crushing it. And I'm kind of sadistic almost, because I listen to almost every podcast out there. And I'm just always blown away at how much better everyone is than me. So I really feel like I'm inadequate and not anything special. But maybe if I can take 1% of what you learn or what you teach, in a year, that's gonna help me. But
well, listen, man, you're not average, because if you were average, you wouldn't be taking the steps to make yourself better by listening to all of the stuff that's put out there. And also, I'm just going to go ahead and throw out there, I don't know of anybody that I've asked to come on and tell all the horrible mistakes they've made that's actually agreed to come on and talk about it. So
true.
There's plenty of stupidity out there, and I can give you a laundry list of crap that I've done just in the time that I've had my agency, that would very much validate that. So you're not alone in that. It's just a matter of how you perceive the situation that you're in, and then what you do for yourself to get out of it. Listening to podcasts, reading books, and all of the other things to make.
But that's just the point. Is like the people who are average don't do that stuff.
No, they're the ones that are going to take their continuing ed and they're pencil whipping it in 10 minutes instead of actually going to a CIC module and listening to what they have to say and making themselves better as a result of it. That's fine. It's no different than anything else in life. I mean, it's natural selection, man. You got to fit in the herd.
Let's keep
I
those
think
people
part of
around.
it that when I do compare myself to the great people out there, I'm comparing myself to the best. The other people aren't even comparing themselves because they don't care and they're just average and plateauing. So I do always feel like I could be doing so much more, but at least that's better than what most people are doing, which is nothing.
True.
Dude, you're going door to door selling personal.
Yeah.
You're already like way up. So I got a question. Where did the gong come from? Because I've seen the gong get rung in your office.
Yeah, it's pretty badass, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody else has a bell. You have a freaking gong.
And it's a big gong. We're talking Facebook Marketplace. It was like $100. It was such a great deal. I jumped all over it.
Where did the idea come from? Not the
I've wanted
gong.
a gong forever. I don't know where the idea came from. It was some sales movie or something.
It's got to be a door-to-door thing, because when I did the office supplies, we had a gong in our office. It was a tiered bell structure. So every day at the end of the day, we would come back and everybody would go over their results for the day. And it was like, if you did X amount of sales, you rang this little dinky little cowbell. If you did whatever, the next level up, you would ring. Yeah, you'd ring like another one, but then if you balled out and crushed it, that's when you got to slam the gong. So
I hated that so much. I know.
I cannot tell you how much I hated that.
You hated it?
Oh my God!
You're not like, hey, look at me! I bang the gong. I'm the best.
No, I that kind of stuff just makes me cringe when it's like a public thing like that, where it was like an everyday thing. I was just like, oh my God, get me out of here! I want to go home and eat dinner.
Was how just you felt like you needed to take a shower when you left the day that we had Enrod come in, dancing around with his $153 check like he
oh my, that was so painful, man. It's just like
for cyber liability. He came in. Dude,
but you got to understand, dude. It wasn't like Troy. It wasn't like everybody's pumped up, like celebrating a big win. It was like, every day people will come in with their stupid little, they like had a shit day and they're just, coming around ringing this thing. It's like, dude, like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, I hear you.
But
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, when the sales team's in and everybody's working from home now, it seems, so that gong hasn't been banged as much as it should be. I miss hearing it, but when everybody's in here, I'm always saying, hey, I haven't heard the gong in a while. Come on, let's bang the gong. And it's fun. And there's a medical office right underneath us, and they've actually come up a couple times. Do you mind not hitting it so hard up here? It's
a bunch
fun.
of nerds.
Yeah.
The medical office hates the gong. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, that's great. So doing.
Hold on, I got to go to this too. Is this like just social media posturing, or do you legitimately still just have a flip phone?
No, that's another failure. I got my smartphone right here. I did have my flip phone for about 4 months. So I think I started 2019 in November. Then I went to mid-March. And then with all the pandemic crap, I just got sucked back into this. And there's probably not a day goes by that I'm like, I wish when I do get rid of it, I want to throw it into the Mississippi River. I live right by the Mississippi, and I want to record it. I'm going to say I'm getting rid of this for a year, but no, I failed.
What led to that? Why, why go back to circa 2002?
You know why? Because everybody's a zombie on their smartphone, and you guys have kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was number one. I hate my kids looking at me saying, "Dad," even if they don't physically say it. It's basically saying, "Get off your phone. Look at me. Talk to me." And there's nothing that goes on your phone after 5 o'clock, like at the end of the day, that you can't wait till the next day. So what I do is I leave this at the office probably, 3-4 days a week and go home with no smartphone, just because if I have it, I'm going to be looking at it, and that ain't good for the family.
Fair enough. So
I challenge you guys to try that now.
I don't know that I could commit to that.
One day a week.
I appreciate your ambition.
Half the time I'm interacting with my kids, it's over my smartphone.
Exactly. At the dinner table, you're texting.
Yeah, we're texting each other instead of talking. Look,
elbows off the table, Ethan.
It's not that bad. But I can tell you, I have literally been sitting in my living room with my wife, and we're talking back and forth over Facebook Instant Messenger. And we're like literally 10 feet away from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part is ridiculous, and I'm definitely guilty of that too. But yeah. So how long have you been in the insurance world, Troy?
11 years.
11 years. Okay. So what was the biggest challenge in making that transition from your previous career?
There was really no challenge because, like I said, I got fired. I kind of got fired because I knew I was in a job that wasn't going to be a career.
So what were you doing before? If you mentioned it,
cable, man.
Cable. That's right. So, okay. Well, so I guess what was if it wasn't like a challenge, what was the biggest difference that you had to kind of adjust to?
The biggest challenge actually was I made $12,000 in my first year because I didn't get a base. I didn't get anything from my dad when I came over. And speaking of that, I'm super, super lucky to own an agency now because of my dad. If it wasn't for him, I would not. Nice. I love it.
I just
would
almost
not be in
all over the place.
Definitely not be in insurance if it wasn't for my dad.
He just upgraded from the X-Wing fighter pilot to the Pit Viper.
Oh, I love it.
I feel like I need to go get mine now.
But going the door-to-door thing was easy, so that wasn't a challenge. But just not making much money my first year was a bit of the challenge. But still, now the challenge is just running an agency, communicating with my employees. We just had our annual meeting, and that was kind of the thing everybody said about me. We had to kind of say a negative thing about everyone. They said I don't.
Dude, we should do that. We should have a meeting where we say everything negative about a bunch of people in the office.
You should, because it gets a little bit real.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing, man. This is the way that I've always done this, and I actually do it sometimes when I go in and I meet with clients. But it goes back to my days when I was with Target, and it actually is a really good exercise. We do a stop, start, and continue. What do I need to stop? What do I need to start? What do I need to continue? And if you go in, a lot of times when we're dealing with somebody who's got some issues with workers' comp or injuries or whatever else, turnover is always an issue too. So I'll typically do an anonymous stop, start, and continue with the workforce for my new client right at the beginning. And it's amazing the stuff that comes out of that.
That is powerful. And people get a little uncomfortable, but they're in their they're in the safety nest, right? So they can't get in trouble. And we encourage, hearing those things. There we go. All three of us now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, but I like the stop, start, and continue really because more or less because it's not all negative, right? You do have the ability for some positivity to come out of it.
Yes, absolutely. And it is positive, even if you have to hear a little negative to
I think if you
better.
go into it with the right mindset, man, you're going to make yourself better, and people eventually feel more and more comfortable bringing those things up. I mean, when I first started doing it, it was like pulling teeth to get people to give you any feedback at all. And then I got better and better at soliciting feedback. But the reason why I was able to do that is because they saw that I actually applied what they told me.
I will light your ass up.
I'm sure you will. Made my life better, or made myself better as a result. So,
very, very true.
Talk a little bit about your team meeting, though. I mean, that was cool. I saw it on social, and it looked like you guys went on some sort of a retreat, or you were off-site somewhere.
Oh, yeah, we got lucky. Right before our governor shut down the state, that night he shut the state down, so we just squeaked it in at a little off-site venue. But, yeah, the 2021, we talked a little bit about 2020, which was our best year. And, by the way, has every insurance agency in the country had their best year this year? Everybody I talk to is saying that. I don't know where the business is coming from.
I mean, we're up over last year, and last year was our best year, so this is now our best year.
Yeah, but it just seems like everybody I'm talking to, oh, yeah, we're just having our best year. And somebody's got to be lying, but
yeah,
anyway.
I don't know where the business is coming from. I mean, Kyle, have you noticed anything that's like any patterns as far as age? It just seems like business as usual for us.
No, yeah. I mean, I haven't. And I've tried to sit there and think about it and figure it out why some companies are doing better than others. And I haven't been able to piece it together as to why we've seen it, an increase. It's just has happened, like we're not necessarily doing anything different. We're still, operating the way that we were before. We're just not meeting with people in person. So
you guys get one sale, which does pretty much what our year is as far as revenue.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
It's like, dang, what'd you just sell, $1 million account? Nice.
Those are few and far between. I mean, we've got some, but it's a different process. You could sell 100 accounts in the time it takes to get one of those done, or 200 accounts in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of these processes go 6, 8, 9 months.
Yeah, if not more. I mean, Raphael's in here today. We were talking to the guy that's the owner of an account that he has been going after now for almost a year.
Right.
And so, you're having to balance being tactical and having a strategy and stuff over that long of a period of time. Going, to make Troy's point from earlier, I'm the same way, man.
So Troy's good at going door to door for personal lines. You guys got to teach me what to do if I go door to door for commercial lines.
Don't go door to door. Well, I mean, you could. No, actually, you could. I mean, it's no different than doing the marketing drops that we do, but it's not as simple as just going in. Yeah, it's not as simple as just going in and saying, hey, look, let me save you some money and getting the name and the number. You have to have some preparation going in, have decent leave behinds. And plus, there's a lot more information available for a commercial account in public domain than there is somebody's home.
Okay. Yeah. I have a feeling if I just go in with these sunglasses, and just walk in, half the battle's over, right?
Dave's favorite move is to take his shirt off, apparently. So
do the worm. No, that's what. Remember what I said? I don't even remember. It was when we had Ricky Hayter on, and I was talking about what would somebody do if I just did the worm into the gatekeeper, and then just popped up and started talking to her like I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, and never addressed the subject that I wormed into her office.
Heavy machinery, baby. You guys don't get the reference.
Heavy machinery. Now you got to tell me, what is it?
WWE, man.
Oh God. See, I'm not WWE. I'm WWF. I'm old school, man. So I'm the Strongbow Brothers, the Wild Fugees, Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Oh yeah.
Junkyard Dog, Jake the Snake, Sergeant Slaughter. I can go on and on and on. Kyle has already disconnected from this. He's been smiling.
He's infatuated with us.
Yeah, his internet's gone. So whatever.
No, seriously though, I'd love to learn more about the program. I don't know how it even works, but I think that could be a 2021 objective for us. The thing I'm scared about, David, is the back end work with these big. We don't have CSRs. We don't have that are commercial specialists. We have one guy in our office that's pretty good at commercial, but he's kind of half out the door right now.
Back, yeah.
All right. So you have one guy that's doing commercial. How much commercial stuff do you do? And are you getting Ramsey leads on the commercial?
No.
Stuff?
I mean, shoot, one of the guys did put in commercial. I should ask Al about it, but That was just a few days ago. It was an electrician, but we're at like 93% personal lines, 7% commercial. And it's just, we get a lot of Google leads actually for commercial, almost as many as we do for personal lines from Google. But it's just basically the low hanging fruit that's coming to us asking for commercial insurance. We're not proactive.
The thing about commercial that's so much better is it's more intentional, right? I mean, it's not personal lines. You can't get as hyper focused as you can in commercial. Like I can slice and dice my pipeline by, revenue size, employee count, renewal date, who the carrier is, who the agency is that represents them. I can get all this information and build my prospecting process around it.
And knowledge breeds confidence, right? You know all this stuff. You can be a lot more confident.
Well, and that's the whole thing, man. You can walk in the front door and our competition has access to the same stuff. They just don't take the time to prepare. Mm-hmm. So I tell people all the time, you got to slow down to speed up. You can have a much better opportunity of closing business if you walk in after researching it appropriately than just going in and flying by the seat of your pants, hoping that they'll give you an opportunity to quote or, however they address it.
Mm-hmm. However, I mean, part of my issue is if I spend a day researching, I'm thinking, man, I could have cold called 10, 20 businesses in this day. Is that the wrong way to think?
Yeah, that's the wrong way to think, because if you're researching that one, this is what I tell everybody. Every time you research an account, it's the same thing as you preparing for a job interview, because every one of those commercial accounts is interviewing you for a job that's going to pay the agency between $25,000 and $50,000 a year in commissions.
Yeah, that's a different animal.
So if you're going to go in and interview for a $50,000 a year job, how much are you going to prepare for that versus, personal lines would be the equivalent of day labor or temporary placement compared to that.
True. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that to throw off on personal lines, because there's plenty of very, very wealthy people out there and very successful agencies that write a lot of personal lines. It's just not how I was brought up in this industry. And we're sort of doing it backwards. We're in, like Raphael's over here right now, wondering if I'm going to make him go door to door next week selling personal lines like you do.
Hell
Can
yeah.
I come down there and work for you guys going door to door for personal lines?
You would have a blast. You would have a blast. You never know what's going to open the door. I delivered pizzas, and let me just tell you, a lot of the stuff you see in the movies is true.
You're talking Florida or what?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak.
Oh, dude, every story on the news starts with a Florida man.
No, it's Wisconsin too.
Yeah.
Well, they got a lot of beer in Wisconsin, don't they?
Exactly. Most bars per capita in the country.
No kidding.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I would have lost that. That's an interesting stat there.
I think I'm right. I if not, I sounded confident, right?
Yeah, I believe you.
Dave Ramsey says that Wisconsin has
True.
per capita in the country, so let's just run with it. If you say it confidently, it has to be true.
That's right.
That's right.
Is that one of the ways you teach your commercial?
No, I actually need people to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Kind of a slippery slope to be going down. There's plenty of people out there that make it up, though. I love it. I love hearing these people that just wing it as they go.
It's the best.
And then I get to come in behind them.
Well, that's how I started selling personal lines. I knew nothing about insurance other than going door to door saying, I bet I can save you money on your insurance. And it worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
funny.
And if you don't save them money and they have a smart remark, you can say, that's why I'm not a professional gambler. I mean, if I knew how the bet was going to work out every time, that would be going door to door selling you home money.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because there's so much misinformation out there. Like, this account that we were talking about today, this alarm company that Raphael's calling on, the guy was under the impression that we had to be his agent to be able to even get information on insurance from him. And I'm like, what? Huh?
Interesting.
Who's that? And so it's funny because he said, well, my financial people, the people in the accounting department are telling me, and I'm like, whoa. Who runs this place? Is this your company? Or, I mean, but I didn't say that. But what I did say was, well, maybe they don't want us coming in and identifying the places where money's leaking from your financial statements because they didn't catch it.
Right.
And all of a sudden he paused for like a couple of seconds and he's like, well, yeah, maybe. Well, why else wouldn't they want us to come in and save your company money? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's odd.
This is like a prototype account for us. They're getting hosed on their auto. Their experience mod's well over 1. There were some inaccuracies in the claims as they were reported on the mod. So, I mean, it was low-hanging fruit. Then COVID hit, and it became very difficult to get in and talk to him. So you finally get the guy on the phone, and all of a sudden he doesn't have a clue, what's going on. So we had to be a little more forceful than normal in our conversation today, but Raphael is going to follow up with him tomorrow and find out what time we're going to meet with him. So
you'll get it.
We'll see. We should. It's textbook. I mean, that's the whole thing. Again, man, like with commercial, I'll give you an example. If you know who it is that you're going after, and for us, the play is mods that are higher than 1 on workers' comp. That is like my bread and butter. If I can get that, I'm going to win way more of those than I'm ever going to lose. And it's also very easy for me to get into those because most of the time they have no clue that their mod is higher than 1 and that they're paying more than they should. So the wedges to get the appointment booked alone are much easier, but it's very, very predictable. So, for example, with me doing residential service contractors, plumbers, HVAC, and electricians, a lot of people think that I want to do that because it's got good premium. Yeah, they have decent premium, but that's not really why. It's the fact that, number one, the servicing load on an account like that is much lower. People think that it's not. Well, here's a fun fact. I have eCerts online, so I don't need to go in and pull certificates for these people as long as we've set up that template correctly, have the blanket additional insured and waivers, subrogation endorsements, language in the description of ops. They can pull their own certificate. If they have something that's a one-off, then they can message me or we get pinged by the system and we have to go in and approve it. But our clients have the ability to go in and get their certificate to their end user faster than they could even email me asking for it. So they love it. So I don't have a service burden there. But more importantly, because they're business to and the other thing is, how many homeowners aside from me are asking somebody for a certificate of insurance? Like, they're not.
Right.
I do it because I want to put the pressure. I want to strong arm them into letting me talk to their boss about their insurance program. That's why I tell them I want a certificate. It's not because I'm being a responsible risk manager.
This is advanced stuff.
I wish I could, but what happens is, there's not a lot of certificate requests. There's also not a GC or a monitoring service who's checking to make sure that their experience mod is 1 or lower, which is what happens when you're dealing with commercial or new construction. But because it's business to consumer, nobody's doing that, right? So it's easy for me to be able to go in and find those types of accounts that are higher than 1 on the experience mod. And I know that if it's $6 a piece to pull a mod from NCCI. I know that if I spend $600, I'm going to get 100 accounts pulled. Well, my pipeline starts at $25,000 in revenue. I only have 25 to 50,000 of revenue 25 to 50,000 per account in my personal pipeline. So I know that of the 100 I pull, 40 of those are going to be higher than 1.0. So for $600, I'm buying myself $1 million in revenue opportunity.
So let me ask you this. The experience mod over 1.0, is that higher than the average?
Average is 1.
So how do you know that maybe they deserve to be higher than average?
Well, they absolutely do. But here's the thing, and this is good. And by the way, I'm going to remind everybody that Troy is not dumb. He's a personalized agent. So he's asking these questions because he really doesn't know the answer. And it's a good question, and one that some people that are listening to this, probably sitting in workers' comp every day, don't even know the answer to. But basically, when if I'm going to break the mod down, it's what they expect you to have in terms of losses versus what you actually have. That's the ratio. So if they expect you to have 10,000 in losses and you actually have 100,000, you're going to have a higher mod. If you have 10,000, if they expect you to have 10,000 and you have 10,000, then your mod's a 1. It's that easy. You had exactly.
So if you have 100,000, would it be 10?
Well, it would be whatever. That's when you start getting into the actual calculations that they have to use. And there's different cutoffs for the claim value. And depending on if it's medical only or indemnity, there's discounts that happen inside the first 17,500. We can get into college level stuff that way, but keeping it surface level, I know that if that mod is 1 or higher, I'm going to have an opportunity to win because we're going to run it through the software. Here's the thing. when these claims are reported, they're reported as total incurred, which is whatever's been paid plus whatever's still reserved. So if I've got a claim that has been reported to the carrier or to MCCI rather as $100,000 and only $20,000 of it has been paid, 2 months from now, that claim closes out and only $25,000 total had been paid. If nobody goes back and updates NCCI that it's supposed to be $25,000 instead of $100,000, you have a claim hanging out there for $75,000 more than you should. That's low-hanging fruit for us. We go in and we audit that, and it becomes a very easy conversation. As
what
to
percentage of agents actually go in and fix that for their clients? None? Really?
Almost none.
Oh, that is low-hanging fruit.
Well, and so here's the thing. If you really want to get them going, now it becomes an emotional discussion. Look, I can understand why your agent didn't want you to know this. I mean, let's face it, the insurance compensation is always flawed. The higher your mod goes, the more your agent makes. So while he's over here getting rich due to your poor performance, you're having to foot the bill for his extravagant lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's the deal. I mean,
what you do is send him a bill and split the difference.
Well, what we do actually is we go in and recover the money that they spent that they shouldn't, and we split it with the client 50-50. So
Nice.
let's just say I go in and recover $100,000 for somebody who's our new client, and we haven't even placed the insurance yet because they don't renew for another 8 months. Well, the way that I get paid to go in and help them before the insurance transaction is we find money, and we split that money with them 50-50.
Nice.
So if we go in and find $100,000,
you guys are the heroes.
yeah, we got a $50,000 payday, and you're right. We look like heroes. And do you think they're even going to talk to the incumbent at renewal? We're already in there. Nobody else is going to come in because the insurance is an afterthought at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a lot of agencies that don't like you in the area for doing what you do.
Typically who we compete against is more the nationals.
Okay.
Not as much regional. I mean, there's a couple of regional agencies, but
I don't know that there's necessarily any bad blood.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. No,
We're
not
not
at
doing anything shiesty. You're just,
all. No, we're
Ryan
doing our job.
Fitzpatrick.
right.
Yeah, we're doing our job. But I mean, it's crazy because truthfully, they don't even know. Like they don't understand. And I mean, I'm in enough internet groups with agents where I see conversations all the time, and I'm just thinking to myself, this is the average agency out there. This is what they're used to doing. We just talked about this, right? Agencies complain when they lose business, but they don't understand that the reason that client left them and paid more to do it, it's not an insurance problem. If somebody leaves you and pays more, that's not an insurance problem. You're not servicing the account. You're not meeting expectations. You probably didn't set expectations correctly on the front end, number one. But here's a concept that people need to be thinking about. How about you tell your clients what you do for them? You think your average client knows what you do for them when they're at home and not paying attention, and you just do things because it's natural habit for you to do it? Now, on the personal line side, probably not as much stuff that needs to happen on a daily basis, but there's a lot of things.
You can.
Yeah. But I think, okay, so good. That even makes my point valid for you too. But you get to the end of the year at renewal and you find out that your client's leaving you and going somewhere else, and you ask them why, and they say, well, so-and-so said they can do this, they can do this, they can do this. And you find out this is all stuff you've just automatically done for them. You never told them you did it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that.
Right.
So somebody else went in and was able to leverage the fact you didn't have good messaging to your client to bring an account on for them when there was really no reason for them to leave you other than poor communication, even though you always issued certificates, you always handled driver changes, you always did these things. They didn't know that.
Yeah, we do that same on the personal lines when we get the new client. One of our big differences is the renewal process that we have with them. And we tell them, we're going to review your situation every single year proactively. We're going to call you proactively. We're going to send you an email for you to set up a time to talk to us if you don't answer. And we do this every single year. And you probably don't do that with your current agent. But then we do it every single year. So right there, you're setting yourself way apart from everybody else because no personal lines agents do that. Even if they say they're going to do, they don't. So that was a huge game changer for us in 2020, just to say what we're going to do, then do it.
That's it. I mean, it's really that simple, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You put pressure on yourself when you set the expectation, but you also set yourself apart by actually following through.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a really good chance that either no one has come in and set expectations the way that you have in the past, or if they have, they've not met them.
Amen.
True.
You got it.
Isn't it crazy how simple business really is? I mean,
well, commercial seems a little bit more complex, but I'd be willing to learn.
Same principles.
Yeah, it's more complex if you let it be, but it really isn't, man. I mean, there's all kinds of people that can be technicians and help with the insurance piece. The sales side of it's actually more of a business conversation and an operational discussion if you're doing it right than it is about insurance. I tell people every day, I'm not even going to bother talking to you about insurance. Insurance is the commoditized shuffling of paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
We view insurance as the funding mechanism to buy the value proposition that I've spent the last 45 minutes talking to you about.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even let it be in the equation. You know, and it's also not one of these things where we want to go in and just pick up one line for an account. We want the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's our agency's, you know, it's our firm's policy that we need to represent you across the board because we can't most effectively reduce your total cost of risk by having a revenue stream limited to the commission on one or two policies.
Mm-hmm. However, if they have a carrier that you don't represent, what do you do? How do you
to a carrier that we do?
Okay.
So
what if it's more money?
What's that?
What if it's more money?
Doesn't matter because we will have shown them the value proposition and they're going to buy the value every time.
Wow.
See, here's the thing, especially when you're dealing with workers' comp, there's a lot of money that leaves somebody's financials that has nothing to do with the payment of premium. Bureau of Labor Statistics says that the indirect costs associated with the average work comp claim is anywhere between 2 and 20 times the direct costs. So if you have $20,000 in losses on your workers' comp, you've lost $40,000 in cash out of your financials that you don't even realize it's gone. And you start walking a business owner through all of this stuff, and they don't. There's always that light bulb moment. You know, they want to argue with you at first and say, there's no way that I lost, you know, that much. And my answer is, you know what, you're absolutely right. 2 times is what the best in class companies are doing. So you can't have a 1.7 mod and be best in class at the mitigation of costs on claims. That argument doesn't hold water. You're actually probably closer to 6 or 7, you know, and then all of a sudden they start seeing it. But it's all kinds of, you know, and then you can break down what all of that looks like for them. But again, it goes to the things agents aren't willing to talk about. All they want to talk about is the insurance. They understand the policy. They understand
and the premium, right?
The premium and the endorsement. And that's what I tell all the time. You know, it cracks me up because everybody gripes about wanting to be perceived as a trusted advisor, like an attorney or an accountant. Yet we still want to operate off a commission. How many attorneys or accountants operate on commission? None of them except the plaintiff's attorneys, and they don't count because nobody likes them anyhow. You know, they bill by the hour. Why don't we? We do. We charge a service fee. If I have the ability to net commissions and take a fee for my services, I would much rather do that. Here's another one for agency people. Attorneys and accountants have paths to partnership in their organizations. Yet you get into an online forum and listen to agency principals talk. They're not going to give up equity or any type of partnership status to anybody because they're under the false impression they built the entire company by themselves. If you want to be treated like attorneys and attorneys and accountants, you have to act like attorneys and accountants. You have to run your business the way that they run their business. That's why they're a trusted advisor. I can go in and I can have an account that has hair on it today that would have been $70,000 in commissions to me. But I'd say, you know what? I'm going to make my commissions $50,000 this year because that makes a whole lot more sense for me. I don't want to get into this, you know, taking too much. I'm fair in what I charge. What I'm really doing is I'm establishing a benchmark for my fee because I know 3 years from now, that account that was $70,000 in revenue might only be 25 or 30 if it's commissions. But because I've netted the commissions out and I've actually delivered on what I promised I was going to do, I'm still making $50,000 when I should be making $20,000 less. And I can actually go to my client and ask for a $10,000 or $15,000 raise because of my performance, not my product, not my price.
That is way over my head, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, he's saying that what we're doing on the risk management side is going to drop their premiums lower than what their current poor performance is. That's why it would drop down. And by setting that fee at the $50,000, we're kind of protecting ourselves from, not earning
math,
enough.
right?
Right.
So,
yeah, we're protecting our own future revenue stream by doing that. So it looks like we're going in and we're taking less for the first year or two, but I plan on having this account for 10 plus years. Yeah. So why do I not want to make way more money for 7 of those? It just makes more sense that way.
Of course, certainly does.
And our incentive is to drop their rates because it doesn't affect our compensation. If I was being paid commission, what's my incentive to drop rate?
Right.
I'd buy it from you, David.
I try my best. Well, listen, man, we are getting up on an hour at this point. I'm sure you're going to have people who want to reach out to you. I really wish we did this in video so that they can see.
We didn't do this in video?
No, it's never in video, but don't worry. I have screenshots. You're safe.
Oh, yeah, so do I. I'm going to be posting it right after this.
There you go.
Can I post the one where you took your shirt off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely. As long as I still have my manzier on, I always wear the bro.
Oh, my God.
Boy, listen. Awesome. Seriously, how do they find you, man? How can people reach out to talk?
612-408-9000. That's my cell. Or just Troy Thompson Insurance Minnesota. However, you'll get a Troy Thompson Insurance Minnesota in Albert Lee. That's not me. Just my luck. There's another Troy Thompson agency in Minnesota. So got to do a little work. It's with Pinnacle Insurance, but you'll find me.
Coming to a neighborhood near you.
Oh, yeah. Tampa next.
There you go.
Come down, man.
You got a spot for me to stay?
I got a spot for you anytime, brother.
Nice.
Anytime. It'd be my pleasure. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thanks so much. This has been a blast. You gave me a chance to break out the Pit Vipers for no reason. That's exactly why I have them.
I can't believe we that was perfect. That was like...
That was perfect.
The bigger question here for everybody who didn't see this but is listening is, why do all 3 of us have Pit Vipers readily available at our desk?
Absolutely.
Right there, all of us.
Put on for no reason on a Monday afternoon. There's no
so good.
It is
perfect.
Good.
All right, man. Well, listen, we're going to wrap up. Troy, thanks again for coming on, man. I am looking very forward to your artwork. It's coming.
There we go.
There's so much material here.
I did it all for the coffee cup.
I don't even know where to start, Kyle.
I know. I mean, it's going to be good. I know that much.
I could have orange shooter's glass. When I see those glasses, you know what it reminds me of, by the way, and then we do need to wrap up. It reminds me of wedding crashers when they go bird hunting.
That's what I said. Like when we first got on, I was like, dude, are you going duck hunting or quail hunting or whatever?
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Is when they had to dress up when they were on that island or whatever they were. All right. Anyhow, we could go for days, brother. It's been real, Troy. Thanks so much for your time,
man. Man.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
You've been listening to the Power Producers Podcast. You can follow Killing Commercial Insurance on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to take your game to the next level, check out our book, The Extra 2 Minutes, and our website, killingcommercial.com.